Look at me, Mr. Organised, with all my parts out and all my tools ready. So this is me putting my Honda 404 carburetor back together, and the first thing I'm going to do is to set the needle. So we've got a new needle in the kit, and I don't know if you can see that in close up, but there's little notches along here, and what that does is that accepts this little tiny pin. And the reason I put this on first is because yesterday when I did the first one, I dropped this on top of the work surface like that, and could I find it? No, I couldn't. So that goes into position number 3. So that just pushes on with a pair of long nose pliers. This is really fiddly to do it on camera, so I'm just going to actually put it towards my chest so I can get it on easier. So that's now position number 3. See if we can get it focused. There we go. My sight is correct. Yep. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. So I'm going to put this back into the slider, so that just drops straight down in through the hole there. And then I've got these 2 little screws which will allow this to be attached. Now the only thing to watch here is these are handed with a left and right carburetors, so you've got the notch on the end of that which fits into the groove there, and it turns half a turn. Now this groove down this side of the slider on this particular number 1 carburetor is to the left, so that will go in that way around. Okay, but before I do that, I find that the easiest way of getting these 2 little screws in is to actually put them in place first through the holes. Fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. Yep, yes. So the notch to the left, half a turn, and that is in the right orientation to go back down into the carburetor. So the next bit is to put these screws in. They're actually lined up pretty nicely on the inside, if you can see that, so that they'll be nice and easy to get the screws back into the locating holes. This way is easier than just trying to drop the screws back down in and fasten them up. So they're both located, and you can see that screw turning on the inside there. They're nicely in place, and then that will drop straight into there. I'm not actually going to do that yet because I've got the emulsion tube and everything to put in. So that was just really just to get rid of those 2 little screws and the little needle positioning clip, because if you lose that, it's a real pain. So the next job is to do the other end of the carburetor. Well, actually, I'm going to put the air screw in first. This one's still in, actually. So that's that one, and we've got the new one here, and in that goes. And I'm going to set it to the right position straight away, so I shouldn't have any shoots. Okay. Forgot to put the new spring in. I'm going to put the new spring in. So there's a spring that goes in first. Screw. just nipped up, so it's half, 1, 1.5, 2. So that's set to the position that it's supposed to be from standard, and then we can tweak that once the bike's running. Now you will notice here on this carburetor that there's this brass part here sticking out, so we know that that is where the pilot screw goes in. On the other handed carburetor it's on the other side, so it's just so you know. In fact, I think you can know, yes, there's only screw in there, so it's the only one place that will go. So that's the pilot screw to go in there. On this particular one, it's to that side. Right, time to pop in the emulsion tube. This kit didn't come with a new one, so the old one goes back in. It'll only go in one way round. It's actually that small bit goes in with the larger holes to the bottom, and then the next part that goes in is that bit with a rubber seal, and that just pushes in. Okay, and then the float valve. So this tiny little piece here is the float valve, and as you can see it's two components, this brass holder and then the actual little plunger in the top there with a needle that goes down the seats. So this is spring loaded like that, and this goes just here, and as the float lifts up, as the bowl fills, it lets the fuel in, and as it goes down it closes the valve. Now it actually is on a rubber grommet here, but you don't actually need to push this in, because when you put this in, this will push it down into place. So this is just a retainer clip. It just goes there like that. That's the retainer clip. So I'm all fingers and thumbs today, I apologise for that. It's the arthritis, just can't operate my thumbs properly. As you screw that down, that pushes the valve into place. And in she goes. So that's now seated nicely with a little plunger on the top there. What's next? Ah yes, floats themselves. Goes back in there. Replace the, this is the float pin, replace that. No clips or anything on that, it just holds in place by the action of that pin, and when you get the butterfly clip on as well, that will all hold it into place. So that bit's all done. I'm not going to put the butterfly clip on just yet until I've done the other end, but that would just go on there. It just sits on the top, and that groove lines up on that front edge, just there, like that. And then when you put the base on, that will hold it in place. In fact, I'll do that now, but with a comment. I found one of the most difficult jobs on this carburetor rebuild is getting the old gasket material out of here. So there's a rubber ring that sits in this groove, and I've had to resort to a product called Get Your Kit Off. And this is the product. It's by Carb, and it's a gasket remover. What you do is you spray it on, and it will remove your gaskets, supposedly. I used to actually work for this company many years ago in the automotive trade, and they do come up with some weird names. Get your kit off, and sticks like shit. No, I don't think that's theirs, that was Bostik, but never mind. And leaky radiator sealant. I was actually involved in the launch of that. Right, enough of that waffle. But yeah, so we've got this gasket, just simply goes into the position there like that. Doesn't need any other sealer because it's rubber, so that'll just nip up. I'm going to put this in place, and that's all nicely in place now, and that can go on. And as I say, the butterfly clip keep everything in place. Put that there like that. It's actually spun the wrong way. It goes there, so it's on the groove. And you feel that that is sitting proud due to that clip. Right, top half. We have this assembly. There. That goes on there. The needle and the slide going like that. Together. So now, as you can see, you've got this control arm actually goes to the, if you like, the front of the engine on this side. On the other carburetor, it's on the other side, so those two linkages will match each other when we put it back on the frame. Slurp. Right, and this bit here has got the little bolt that goes into the top of that tube. That's a 7mm. So that's nipped up, and then this little bit here is a little tang, so you fold that over just so that that doesn't come undone. So that's just a case of nipping that round with a pair of pliers just onto the flat, so there's no way that that can come undone. Okay, so that's the assemble of the carburetor. Now then, I've got this left. Where's that come from? Ooh, did I not put one in this one? Sure I did. I've probably got some of the kits mixed up, but I'll just check that. I said right at the beginning it would be a warts and all job, and it was warty because I forgot to put the gasket in. Not fully concentrating on the job because I've like 2 jobs here, making a video and putting this back together, so we'll just say that's the reason. I am definitely having one of them days. Right, once they're all sort of in place, I can nip them up. Okay, so they're nipped up. I'm not doing the tops yet because there's some ancillaries that use some of these bolts, but for all intents and purposes that's done. So I have 2 more to do, and then we'll get on to the tricky bit of putting them back on the backing plate. Okay.